Did you ever get that feeling when you were going to run errands and you went to the salon to get your hair done or get a manicure and you noticed someone was breathing down your neck, but you weren't sure exactly who it was and it wasn't easily explainable? Well, these next stories that you are about to hear revolve around entities in spas, in hotels, in other places where you least expect them to be. I am presently 80 years old. This all started approximately 15 years ago. I was a massage therapist working for my daughter at a hair salon in Cathedral City, California. Her salon was located on Indian property, if the following had anything to do with this. All the following occurrences that took place did not register with me until the final one. For several weeks, some of the girls at the salon were telling me I was not blowing my candle out before I left work. Several mornings, when I showed up for work, the candles were used up. Did not give this a second thought. One day, during one of my massages, a large container fell off of the shelf for no apparent reason. I did think this was very odd at the time. Several days later, during one of my massages, I thought a hummingbird was right next to my ear. I was very startled by this and stopped and looked around. It went away, so I went back to my massage thinking it was my ear acting up. Then it started on my left ear and stopped. Could not explain what happened. I figured it was my ears. Several weeks later, the wife and I took our motorhome to Pebble Beach, California. On the way up there, she accused me of leaving some of the cabinet doors open. I told her it was not me. Did not give that much thought. The next morning around 7:30 a.m., I got into my truck, which we towed up there, and drove into the town Bueno to the ATM machine. It was a very chilly morning, so I wore my jacket. I had all my windows rolled up because it was cold. When I got done with the ATM, I got back into my truck and started to pull away and felt a cold draft. I looked at my passenger window and it was rolled all the way down. There are not electrical windows. I was very startled by this and pulled over and stopped. I gave this a lot of thought. All the previous occurrences started to pop into my head. I rolled up my window and yelled, "Get out of the truck and get back to wherever you came from." I was never bothered again. I have no answer for what happened. Ghostly gatherings at the inn. First, about the inn itself. A couple of years ago, I worked at the 1917 Lake Lure Inn and Spa in beautiful Lake Lure, North Carolina. The facade of the inn is pale yellow stucco with hunter green shutters. Inside, the lobby is very spacious and filled with the current owner's antiques and memorabilia from days gone by from the inn. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his wife stayed at the inn during their trip to western North Carolina. Actors and directors from the movie Dirty Dancing also stayed there, as well as many other movie stars and musicians. This is a place to really get away from it all. Antiques tastefully dot the upstairs area and the rooms itself. The original owner was Dr. Lucius Morse. He fell in love with the area and wanted to build a hotel there. So, around 1925 to 1926, the inn was being built, and in 1927, it was finally opened as the Lake Lure Inn. It was said that he did not live to see the grand opening of the hotel. During World War II, the U.S. Army commissioned the inn, and the men serving during the World War would stay there and relax or recover from the wounds they had endured. There are many pictures of these soldiers and their families having a grand old time there at the inn. The ghost stories. When I first started working at the inn, I felt a little uneasy. It felt like there were 1,000 eyes looking at you wherever you went. I was first made aware of the ghosts when I was working in the spa area. I was there late at night alone while cleaning and disinfecting. I always saw shadows move down there. The spa was where I felt most scared when I was alone. Once I was working the morning shift and was helping to do spa laundry. I walked through there alone while carrying some linen. I heard my name being said by what sounded like a man with a low, gravelly voice. I dropped the linens and ran out of there as fast as I could. I ran into my supervisor's office and she remarked that I looked like I had just seen a ghost. I told her I didn't see one, but one called my name. She thought it was funny until something similar happened to her. My supervisor had a great many health problems and she stayed in the bathroom a lot because her medicines made her nauseated. She said when she was in the bathroom, she heard someone say, "Are you okay?" She said she looked around and no one else was in the bathroom with her. Many guests who have stayed there have reported that a woman would come into their rooms at night and either tuck them in or would stand there by the bed smiling at them. Some of the guests have picked the bags and left during the middle of the night because of that. One housekeeper said that one Sunday morning a lady walked by her wearing an old-fashioned clothing, and the housekeeper asked her if she needed anything. The lady replied no, and floated down the hallway. Unfortunately, that housekeeper did quit. Other housekeepers have reported that glasses would break while they were in the rooms cleaning, that a couple of the TVs would turn themselves off and on at will, and the beds were freshly made, would have an imprint on them as if someone had sat on the bed. There has been a rumor going around there for years that a lady was killed by her boyfriend or husband at the inn during the 30s or 40s. She had bellied up to the bar there and was flirting with a patrolman. Her boyfriend or husband became jealous and enraged, so later when they got to the room in 2:15, he killed her. Whether or not this is true, I am not sure. I've done some research, but couldn't find anything to substantiate that claim. The night auditors have reported seeing a male figure in the dining room. He would have been seen standing by the grand fireplace. They say this ghost looks like Lucius Morse because there is a painting of him in the lobby. They also have reported seeing a smoky-like fog descending the grand staircase. There have been 2 ghost investigations done at the inn in recent years. They have reported to catch the EVPs of a woman screaming, the EVP in the spa telling one of the investigators to get out of there and even called his name, like he did to me. There are some speculations that the antiques that the owner has bought in may have some ghosts attached to them. They may very well be more than the 3 known ghosts that dwell within the grand of the 1927 Lake Lure Inn and Spa. If you are ever out visiting Asheville and the surrounding area, take a trip to the Lure Lake area. I have on YouTube some EVPs I got from the inn I would like to share with you all. Thanks for reading. The Crescent Hotel. This story takes place in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. The town itself is known as being a haunted town. Maybe it's all the limestone they have. It's a tourist town located in the Ozark Mountains in northern Arkansas. If you ever never been there, it is definitely a place to visit and one of the most famous places to visit here in this small Victorian town is an old hotel which is on top of a beautiful mountain. It is known as the 1886 Crescent Hotel. This hotel is known as one of the most haunted places in the United States. My husband and I have visited this hotel on at least 5 occasions. We live only 45 minutes away, and I feel addicted to this place. I always feel the need to go, as if it's calling me back. Of course, others have explored and toured this hotel as well, including Taps, ghost hunters. Here is a little backstory on the hotel first. It started construction in 1884. Now keep in mind, this was a time when the healing waters of the Ozarks had become well known across the nation. People from near and far were screaming to the area in hopes of curing their ailments and easing their pains. The developers of the Crescent Hotel and Spa planned to take advantage of these many travelers by building the most luxurious resort in the country. Immediately, the well-to-do of the nation began to flock to the luxurious resort hotel. Once there, the guests could not only enjoy the healing waters of the spa, but also a stable of 100 sleek coated horses, tea dances in the afternoon, and elaborate parties every evening with a full in-house orchestra. However, the prosperity was not to last. After the turn of the century, people began to realize that the acclaimed healing waters didn't have the curative powers that the hotel had and the city were so known for. Little by little, people stopped coming to the beautiful resort. From 1808 to 1924, the building was utilized as the Crescent College and Conservatory for young women. However, after operating for 16 years, the revenues from tuition was not high enough to maintain the costs of running the large building, and the women's college closed. After sitting abandoned for the next 6 years, it briefly reopened as a junior college from 1930 to 1934. In 1937, a man named Norman Baker arrived on the scene and bought the aging hotel for the purpose of opening a cancer hospital and health resort, advertising miracle cures that require neither surgery nor painful extensive tests. The Baker Hospital alleged that its patients would walk away from the resort cancer-free. However, what was unknown to the many desperate patients who flocked to the hospital was that Norman Baker's miracle was nothing more than a scam that he had been purporting on unsuspected patients for years. The man had absolutely no medical training and had been convicted in Iowa in 1936 for practicing medicine without a license. Also, the American Medical Association had condemned the many elixirs that were sold for a number of different ailments, including cancer. While operating a hospital, Baker was being investigated by federal authorities and in 1931 was finally arrested for mail fraud. One U.S. postal inspector estimated that Baker had made as much as $500,000 per year selling his miracle elixirs through the mail while in Eureka Springs. Baker was convicted to serve a 4-year sentence in Leavenworth. The investigation revealed that over the years, Baker had defrauded cancer patients out of approximately $4 million. It has been said that many of Baker's patients never returned home after checking in for treatments. However, more than a dozen people ended up missing. As the story goes, Baker had each of his dying patients write to their loved ones to tell them that they had been cursed and were going to leave the center. And for some reason, they were never ever seen again. He never admitted to killing anyone, but after Baker's death in 1958, a nurse who worked with Baker said that the people who died from treatments were most likely buried on the property somewhere after their agonizing deaths. Over the next several years, the hotel passed through several hands as repairs and more restorations were made. On September 6, 2002, after $5 million in renovations, the Grand Hotel had been fully restored to its original stately glory. Now, on to the paranormal stuff. Staff and guests alike tell stories of a number of ghosts that are still said to inhabit this beautiful old hotel. The most often cited apparition is that of a red-haired Irish stonemason who the staff dubbed Michael. Allegedly, Michael was one of the original masons who worked on the building of the hotel in 1885. However, while working on the roof, he lost his balance and fell to the second floor area and was killed. This area now houses room 218 of the hotel and is said to be the most haunted guest room. Michael is often being heard pounding loudly on the walls. Others have witnessed hands coming out of the bathroom mirror and heard cries of what sounded like a man falling in the ceiling. Yet other guests have been shaken during the night, and on one occasion, a man ran screaming from the room, professing to have seen blood splattered all over its walls. The lingering spirit of a nurse, dressed all in white, is often seen pushing a gurney on the third floor, only spotted after 11 p.m., the town which they used to move the deceased out the cancer hospital. The ghostly spirit vanishes when she reaches the end of the hallway. Others who have not seen the apparition have reported the sounds of squeaks and rattles that sound like a gurney rolling down the hallway. Now here's something incredibly creepy. The basement of this hotel was once used as the morgue, and this area still houses Dr. Baker's old autopsy table and walk-in freezer. Also located on the third floor is the laundry area, where a hotel maintenance man once witnessed all of the washers and dryers inexplicably turning on by themselves in the middle of the night. The hotel's crystal dining room is another place in the hotel that is said to contain frequent paranormal activities. Here, other Victorian-dressed apparitions have often been encountered. Many have seen groups of 1890s dancers in full dress attire whirling around the room in the wee hours of the morning. Other reports tell of a 19th century gentleman who has been seen sitting at a table near the windows. When approached, he says, "I saw the most beautiful woman here last night, and I am waiting for her return." The apparition of the greedy Dr. Baker himself has also been seen in the old recreation room in the basement and at the foot of the first floor stairway. Dressed in a purple shirt and white linen suit and looking somewhat confused, the apparition appears identical to old photographs of the infamous Quack. Another remnant of the old hospital days is a ghostly figure who calls herself Theodora. Most often seen by housekeepers in room 419, Theodora courteously introduces herself as a cancer patient before quickly vanishing. One other often reported spirit is that of a young female who once attended the Crescent College and Conservatory for younger women. According to the tale, the young girl neither jumped from or was pushed from a balcony to her death. Today, guests report her hearing her screams as she falls. On my first visit to this historic hotel, I entered the lobby and was greeted by a cold burst of air. My husband and mother were both with me at the time, and neither of them felt the cold rush that I got. While in the lobby, a female guest was complaining to the front desk that she kept getting a text message every few hours on her phone, but there was no number there. Text kept saying 123101. She couldn't understand it. The front desk told her that he was baffled as well. However, the hotel was closed on that exact date because of a terrible ice storm, and the people who were staying there at the hotel were stuck there for a good week. This just freaked her out, and she returned to her room. I immediately went in to use the bathroom after hearing how haunted it was, and was a little disappointed. Nothing ghostly happened in there. The hotel, however, was beautiful. The spiral-type staircase went from the basement to the fourth floor. On our way up the stairs, all three of us got the feeling of vertigo, and my husband started to feel sick. He said it was like an inner ear infection or something. He just felt so incredibly dizzy. As we made our way to the second floor, we decided to ditch the stairs and use the elevator. Big mistake. I got in the elevator and instantly got the feeling as if I was going to have immediately panic attack, and I don't have panic attacks. I told them that I would take the stairs and meet them on the 4th floor to see the beautiful view. I kept finding myself holding on to the railing for dear life. I passed another guest on the stairs who was having the same problem. He laughed as he passed me and he said, "You know, a 5-year-old died a while back on the very staircase? He was on the 4th floor and had an inner ear infection. He lost his balance and fell all the way down to the basement. Died instantly. Since then, these stairs have been impossible to climb without hanging on." I thought, inner ear infection? That's what my husband mentioned, and we had no idea about that. Scary. Upon reaching the 4th floor, I noticed there was a nice little restaurant and bar up there, right across from what used to be Dr. Baker's office. It was even labeled as such. They also had old diagrams hanging on the wall of the human body that Dr. Baker used to use. That really freaked me out. My mother said that most of the weird happenings are probably brought on by the fact that they still have all of that old stuff from when it was the hospital. Somehow, that wouldn't surprise me. The view was gorgeous from the 4th floor. We took a lot of pictures in and out of the hotel. I got lots of orbs and weird specks of light. You can Google the Crescent for pictures and see other ghostly pictures that have been taken by others. It's a scary place, but also a very awesome place to go hunting. You don't even have to be a registered guest at the hotel to go in and explore. The front desk and housekeepers are used to curious people coming in to see one of the most haunted hotels around. Of all the times we have been to this hotel, we never saw anything like a ghost pushing a gurney or a woman dressed in a Victorian gown. But on my last visit to the hotel, I kept hearing the name Michael whispered in my ear over and over again. It felt like a guy was following me and whispering in my ear. I think my husband thought I was losing it until he went in to use the bathroom and all of the water faucets came on while he was in there. I was outside the door and no one else came in or out the entire time he was in there. We haven't been back there since then, but I would jump at the chance to go right back there again. I am very much intrigued with this place and just love to hear all of the strange paranormal happenings that take place there. Thank you for reading my story. I hope it wasn't too long.